the Titans, the division is ours. I don't care what Houston did yesterday. They're going to go get their Letterman jackets again. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-6 against the Titans since Pat McAfee came up here and did his wrestling announcement. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, they haven't had back-to-back winning seasons since I was a senior in high school.
What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to a fresh episode of Titans Global Podcast. That's right, you heard me right, Titans Global Podcast. We went through a little bit of a name change over the week, so here we are. I am Maximus Titan fan, as always. With me tonight is SpiderTitan. Tell us where we can find you at, SpiderTitan.
You can find me everywhere and anywhere. You can just Google me if you want to. What it calls the easiest way. I shows all my social medias on there. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, which is known now as X, and I'm also on TikTok.
All right, man. And if you are watching this on YouTube, do me a favor, go ahead and hit that subscribe button or the like or share. We appreciate it. It goes a long way. To get right into it, first of all, I'd like to talk a little bit about you, find out exactly, first of all, how did you become a Titans fan?
Well, the first time I ever became a Titans fan is whenever I was living down in California. I used to live here in Tennessee when I was first born, but then I moved to California with my mother, and then my grandma ended up working at Sam's Club, and then all of a sudden she found a whole bunch of merchandise one day that just came in her store, and it was a bunch of Titan stuff. She called me on the phone when I was younger, and then she told me there was a team coming to Tennessee, and I couldn't believe it. And she told me it was the Houston Oilers, and they were coming to Tennessee, and they changed their name to Tennessee Titans, which was the year or two after. And I was just excited because I was a Cowboys follower from the family. I just followed them just because other people in my family liked them. And then all of a sudden I found out Tennessee was getting their own team, and I was super excited. Cowboys were going through a rebuild year. And then I was like, you know what? I was never originally a fan, for a team that I actually picked. I just followed the team of my families. And then being a Titans fan was awesome because I was there from the very beginning. I've rooted for them ever since it became the Titans. I thought it was the coolest name ever. I seen the logo, just loved it. And watching them go through the Super Bowl the first year they became the Titans, and it was just all the excitement. And I just knew that once I graduated high school in California, I was going to move back to Tennessee one day with my family so I could be closer to the team. And it's been a dream ever since. And like I said, I've been living a childhood dream ever since I became a super fan, and just coming back to Tennessee just to go to games and just to be a part of it. It's awesome.
Well, that's cool, man. So that's a little bit of a different story than I'm used to. Usually people tell me either, when they moved to, Houston, or when they moved to Tennessee, I just instantly became a fan like I did. Or you hear the story of, I was born, in Tennessee and they were already here and I was, but you rarely hear the story of, I lived in another state, but I found out, my home state had a team. That's awesome, man. Mm-hmm. So how did the whole SpiderTitan persona become?
Well, it all became just from a thought, just from a dream, man. I always wanted to be a super fan, and watching all these other guys on TV, just like, man, I always thought they were so cool how they just came up with their own persona, and just everybody's so different from their own teams in the league or their own characters in the league. And I just knew I just wanted to do something. And then I've always liked Spider-Man. He was always my favorite hero. And then, COVID happened. I mean, it was just like I became a season ticket member, and then a year after that, COVID happened, and I was like, man. And then, it kind of, barred us from going to games and stuff. And then, of course, the whole world kind of shut down. So I felt kind of bad. I was like, what can I do? Since I'm a season ticket member, I have to become a super fan somehow, some way. And I created myself. And me working at Walmart, it's like I was noticing like the main thing that they had in there toys wise was Spider-Man. I was like, man, that's so cool. And I was like, man, what I can become, because I like dressing up. I used to like wearing masks and everything to the games, and I wore all kinds of different things. And I was wearing clowns, and this and that, just trying on anything I could, to feel something, feel like if I can, match this, with my fandom, for my team. And then all of a sudden I put on a Spider-Man mask, man, one day, and it was, I felt like it was right. And then I went to a game like that, and all I heard was Spider-Man, 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 and it was just crazy. I was like, man, and all of a sudden I put it together, and I was like, SpiderTitan. I was like, that is so cool. That sounds like the coolest name ever. And I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna stick with it. And then like I said, COVID ended up happening, and then I was like, you know what? There's nothing going on for kids. I bought me a suit, offline, and I put up and I bought a bunch of Titan stuff to go with it to put to match with it for my costume. And I went outside standing out somewhere, and I was like, because I seen all the toys, I was like, man, it'd be so cool to do something for kids, and to stand outside and what do you call it, just bring it, see what happens, and then all of a sudden I went outside and with my kids, and then they helped me with, I have a whole bunch of Spider-Man stuff, and I was just standing. Started coming to me. People started coming to me, and then it was just starting to get attention. And then the newspaper found out I was doing that because I posted it online. And then they came up to me and interviewed me. The first time I ever was standing out somewhere, I got my first interview, and I was telling them what I was doing and what made me want to do it because I love kids. I one year I went to my kid's school dressed up as Spider-Man, and handed out candy during lunchtime, and I heard the biggest roar I've ever heard, like even a bigger roar than I've ever heard at Nissan Stadium. It's just some kids just lost their mind. And I love the feeling of that. I was like, wow, I'm bringing such joy and happiness to these kids, and all I'm doing is standing in a costume and look like handing out candy. I was like, imagine what I could do outside of the walls of the school for kids. So it just all started from that, man. I just wanted to do something for the community because there was nothing going on, and it just blew up from there.
That's awesome, man. I mean, like, I coach little league kids, and yeah, Corinne says it here best. Mad respect, for the kids, because I like I said, I coach little league kids. I don't think people understand the kind of dedication that goes into something like that when you actually dedicate yourself to doing something like that, how much time and effort it actually takes from you. But it's so rewarding when you get to see the product, like for me, it was rewarding when I hear that some of my kids get on the middle school team or whatever. And it's like, hey, that's awesome, man. I'm glad, that you enjoy football and that, it might actually help you later in life as far as, what you're doing. And you're even doing something better than me as far as I'm concerned, because charity work to me is the greatest gift you can possibly give. My wife does a lot of charity work, and I envy her in that I don't do enough charity work. Really, the little league and coaching is really all the charity work I do, and that's not really charity work because I get something out of it. So
I just love kids, man. Like I've always wanted. That was the first thing I ever knew I wanted to be was a dad because me having an absent father and me just find that father figure as I grew up. From I had my grandfather and I had of course people on TV. We call it like movie stars, rock stars, sports stars. Those were my idols. Those are the people that I grew up watching, and like I just wanted to be like them one day. I wanted to help contribute somehow, and then as I got older, my kids going to school, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a gym teacher. I wanted to be a coach. I was like, I want to be able to be a part of something that like people are going to remember. It's like you always go to school, you always remember that one coach or that one teacher or something else. Somebody's made an impact on you that you're always going to remember from them. Like I said, in school or out of school, but like I said, for me, like I said, I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be remembered by kids, because of like I wanted to help impact them. I wanted to help drive them to be great. And then, like I said, I wanted to be a teacher, to start out like that, and then, I just grew from there. But it's like, well, I was working at Walmart, and I was like, I'm sitting here doing this, and I was like, man, it's just be a lot to go to school. I didn't want to do school, and I was like, how can I be like a substitute teacher forever and just like, try to do this, which I never pursued. But I helped during like testing and stuff. They have like volunteers that you can go into school and like just walk around, make sure kids aren't, stealing answers, and like, it's just, just make sure they're being quiet and stuff. So I always helped encourage them. I always like being in charge, part of the school system. And like I said, I just found my own way to interact with the community and found my own way to touch the lives of kids and stuff like that and leave my mark on the world. So, I mean, I found the best way. So.
Well, that's awesome, man. So basically, go ahead and welcome Courtlandt here to the show. What's up, man?
Sorry about that, guys.
What's up, Courtlandt? Look at you.
Sorry about that, guys. I had some technical difficulties going on with the computer, so I had to hop on while I was on the cell phone. But I'm here now, so.
Awesome, man. Hey, congratulations to you and your wife, man. Wherever you're growing, what do you call it for having a baby?
Oh, we haven't.
Oh.
Wait.
No, that's
being pregnant anyway. You're gonna have a baby. Yeah, I got 5 of them, man. So congratulations.
That's my normal co-host Tyler. This is my fill-in right now.
Oh, you're the fill-in guy.
Yeah,
you got you gotta have the cool headphones. Yeah, you look like the coolest fill-in guy ever, man.
he's doing me a solid. I say fill-in, but really he is he's kind of like a special guest. Also, he's an NFL analyst, journalist.
What's up, brother? My bad, man.
Yeah, no problem. No, it's I promise it's not an issue, bro. At some point, me and my wife will welcome forth a small Courtlandt here soon. Not right now, but
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Once you get bored in life, then you have kids, man. Trust me.
At that point,
not before that, it's just a wing it all the way.
Oh yeah. At that point, I'll have a microphone in Mike Vrabel's face, and me and my son or my child will be strapped right here to my chest, and we'll figure out some way to do it.
That's awesome. All right, so now that we've got everybody here and everybody knows everybody, right. Let's talk about the game, man. That disappointing game. Yeah, I mean, all right. So just a quick summary. Obviously it's 15-16. Everybody knows the score. Everybody knows what happened. Only one touchdown by the Saints, given up, unfortunately, by Sean Murphy Bunting. But defense, top scorers was like Autry, Gibbons, McCreary, Key. Arden Key was like a man on fire, by the way.
Was like 2 quarters.
Yeah, I'll give you that. They kind of fell off in the second half. But I have to say, I was not displeased with what I saw from the defense. And,
yeah, they worked their butts off. They can only be on the field so much before they give up points, man.
Well, exactly, and a lot of love wasn't given to Simmons. I'm not seeing a lot of love anywhere for Simmons, and he was a wrecking crew the entire game, man. I mean, like,
well, it's Pro Football Focus, and that's the only issue that I have with Pro Football Focus is if you don't per se, make a sack or make the big splash plays, your Pro Football Focus grade goes
exactly.
And so, but like you said, and I figured this, he's the difference maker. It's the reason why he got paid, right? Chris Jones, who just signed a 1-year extension, which is crazy. Yeah, he signed a 1-year extension.
Okay.
Right. But I know it's not Kansas City Global. But
that's one of the best. One of the best defensive linemen in the league, man. You got to recognize him for real.
Yeah, but those guys are similar in the fact that what they don't do on the stat sheet, right, or what doesn't show up on the stat sheet is why they got paid or why they get paid the big bucks. Because Debo Autry got free because you're doubling your center and your guard are focused on number 98, right? Arden Key gets one-on-ones because the center and guard have to leave their tackle, who just so happened to be pinning, right, on an island because number 98 is right there. right? You can't leave that guy one-on-one with your center or one-on-one with your guard, because if it's not Arden Key, it's him that's now in Derek Carr's face and not number 49. So I'm not worried about the Pro Football Focus grades because he did his job yesterday.
Yeah, although I do have to.
Yeah, they pointed out Landry on the radio too. They said he didn't have a single anything, But I mean, he has a presence, but at the same time, it's like he didn't leave his mark on the game. It was everybody else pretty much. But
first game back.
Go ahead.
First game back from ACL. I mean, he took on. I kind of saw it yesterday. I don't know if you guys watched him, but it was a couple of plays where he didn't set the edge as stout as he did, the year prior before the injury. And some of that is maybe just not trusting that plant leg yet, right? I could tell he was kind of ginger when he came, not ginger like it hurt, right? But kind of favoring, right? I don't want to explode as hard as maybe I used to.
Playing it safe,
I don't, because if I plant too hard, right? Is that knee still, And it's the psychological thing. Like Adrian Peterson talked about it when he came back from his ACL. He said the thing that kind of helped him win the MVP that year was the fact that he went to therapy actually and got over the mental block of the knee, right? He was like, the knee is repaired, it's stable, it's strong, you trust your rehab, but it's this that gets in your way because you don't want to plant. And as a running back, of course, you're planting and moving and juking and all these other things, but for a pass rusher, it's almost the same thing. And I think once he gets over the mental aspect, once he gets out and practice a little bit more and then those in-game reps, you're going to see him explode this year. I think he's going to have one of those crazy games where it's like he's unstoppable. He's like 3.5 sacks, and he's back into the the upper echelon of pass rushers and won the game. But I think for week one, the defense as a whole played amazing. I expected that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they did an awesome job for sure. Yeah,
I agree. The only down spot I saw really that really disappointed me, or the only two I really should say is Harold Landry. I mean, coming back from ACL, I understand. But for me, man, 88% of the snaps is not how you bring a guy back from an ACL injury. First of all, you don't let him play 88% of the game. Holy crap. That's way too much for a guy on his first game coming back from ACL. When you got a guy like Rashad Weaver, who I think only got 8 or 7% of the snaps.
Yeah, Weaver.
He didn't play much.
They should have utilized him just a little bit more. But they had a good rotation going on. It's like when you've seen Tart. Most of the time when we're coming up with a stop on the run, he's in. But all of a sudden, whenever they're not running, it's like they pull him out. It's like they know what they're doing. It's like, come on.
Well,
if they had Tart a little bit, because he busted through the line every time, just like Autry did. And
I think most of that was. I think most of that is Downing Bruce Bowen. I'm sorry, Bowen trying to not Downing. Jesus Christ. But I think most of that is Bowen just trying to figure out his personnel. You got to think these guys didn't play in the preseason, so these packages are new. Right. And if you look at it, New Orleans, we're talking about the game, New Orleans had us in a lot of passing situations. So, they were in the shotgun. Derek Carr, I think, was only under center. I want to say, I think the stat was 12% of his snaps yesterday. So 88%. So just think about that. 88% is minus 12%. So that shows to show you just how much, because Harold Landry is a pass rusher, right? He can stop the run. He's good against the run, yes, but he's a pass rusher. So they wanted to get that speed on the field because he's in the shotgun. The quarterback's already has a 4-yard advantage. And Rashad Weaver, as strong as he is and as explosive as he is, he's not quite as fast around the edge as Harold. And so I see why they played him so much. But once we get into these games where teams like LA, right, who are going to run the ball a little bit more than the Saints did, of course, Jaguars, these other teams that are going to run the ball and have their quarterback under center a little bit more, you'll see that snap count kind of even out and those snap percentages kind of even out.
Oh yeah, he's got so many weapons on defensive line now. It's crazy. That's the fun thing about it. He gets to play. You know, he gets different packages, and like I said, just get to mix it up. Like I said, first game you're trying to win. I mean, that's all you're trying to do. You're trying to have your best players out there the whole time. You know, sub in when you have to, but I mean, you want to see your stars. You want to see them. You want to see them step up, especially for the first game. And we've seen a lot of that. You know, but we've seen a lot of holes too. Like I say, Fulton got hurt again. It's like, so. I mean, you got to see where his future's going because eventually he's going to fall off. They're going to let him go because, I mean, we can't afford this. You know, with one of our best cornerbacks to sit here and constantly get hurt. And now we're sitting here short, for safety for this coming up game because, we got to cover Fulton and we got to cover Hooker because Hooker got he got a concussion. So
well,
it's like,
he's in protocol.
So
but I think he'll be good. I think he'll be good to go by Sunday. It didn't look too bad. He didn't look like
that was a straight bang though, man. It just went boom because he went straight into that guy. I was hoping he was okay, but I didn't know it would be a concussion thing. But he collided with that guy straight on, man. That's what kind of hurt him really bad. I was like, man,
the crazy thing is concussion protocol. It doesn't always mean a concussion. Sometimes it can be the stinger. Sometimes it can be anything up here, anything like from this clavicle line up. They're gonna put you in a concussion protocol. And the good thing about it was he didn't look like he was wobbly. He didn't look like he didn't know where he was. It wasn't like a two attack by lower concussion. I hate to even use that euphemism. I hate to use that like that euphemism, right? But it wasn't like he wasn't on the ground frozen, right? He took a knee. They took his helmet off. They walked him back to the sideline. He should be fine. Of course, they might take it a little easy on him, right? You might see an Armani Marsh or somebody get called up. But I trust the secondary. Like and I'm pretty sure Max will get into it as we go along, go through the game analysis. There were some things in that secondary that I expected to see. And there were some things that kind of threw me off a little bit looking at it as I saw the game. But I expect these guys to be way better as the season goes on.
Yeah, they played a little bit more zone than I like because I feel like we still don't have that speed on defense, man, because we played a lot of zone. And that's why we were getting beat the whole time. And this guy, that one guy, he was open all the time. And they were just burning us every time we got, in the pass. It was open pockets all the time. And the new cornerback that we have, Zero.
Sean Murphy-Bunting.
I'm not a fan of him at all. I've watched him in preseason, dude. I was not a fan of his at all. I was like, where'd this guy even come from? And then, of course, we need him because I guess he won the battle in practices, but not Moulton, but McCreary, like I said, they wanted to switch him to a slot guy. They wanted him in the slot, instead of being outside. And I think that would be better for him, which it is, But at the same time, I think we're gonna have to switch that up or something because it didn't work that way because McCreary is going to be called upon a lot because he stepped up a lot last year. And hopefully he, matured enough to where he can take a leadership role and take that second cornerback because, like I said, that guy wasn't worth it. He's not what I'm digging. I don't like him at all. He got burned every game or every play. He didn't play hard at all to me. Like I said, he may try to play hard, but I wasn't digging him. I just have a feeling about him. And he just
Sean Murphy-Bunting, the good thing about him is we need him because he gives the Titans what we've lacked, right? You got to think Christian Fulton is like 5'10", 5'11" on a good day, right? Yeah. Roger is, I think, 5'9", 5'10" on a good day, right? Sean Murphy-Bunting is 6'1", 201 to 205 pounds. Like you need that big guy. And for the most part, outside of I think 2 or 3 catches, he had Michael Thomas pretty much locked up. There's a reason why you didn't hear his name called a lot, right? And you don't want to hear a cornerback's name called a bunch because that means they're targeting him, and that means that they see something there they feel like they can exploit. Christian Fulton didn't get his name called a lot, right? But when he did get his name called, it was because there was a big play which we saw in preseason, we saw it in training camps, right? He's aggressive, so that little stutter, and he bites, and then they get past him, and he doesn't have the recovery speed to make up that kind of ground. Like I said, the secondary to me just looked like there was some communication issues, and part of that was the Saints and how they ran their route schemes. There's a couple of times where you have Michael Thomas, that their bunch set, right? Michael Thomas is coming on a crossing, a deep crosser, right? And then you have Jawan Johnson coming on an underneath drag. And then they just want Chris Olave right in between the dead zone, right in front of the linebackers and right in front of the safeties, and he's wide open. You can't defend that. I don't care. You can, but it's kind of hard to. And on the one time that it did happen, Kevin Byard, you could tell he was trying to pass it off, and it just looked like McCreary and Sean Murphy Bunting were kind of stuck in no man's land, like they didn't know the assignment. And so that's going to be something that Bowen is going to have to clean up. That is going to be, because he doesn't have, this is going to be the first year in 3 years where he hasn't had a Jim Schwartz or a Dean Pease or somebody like that as a senior assistant to help him clean up those things. So he's going to have now, as the DC, clean up those things and take over this defense and put his stamp on it. And the good thing is Chris Harris is there, who's the DB's quarterback coach, right? I can guarantee you, he's going to dig in these guys. He brings that energy. And if you look at last year, if you look at the first week for the Commanders DBs last year versus their end of the year, they looked it was a complete 180, right? That's what Chris Harris was brought here for, was to make sure that these DBs get whipped into shape, right? Because that was one of the questions about this defense. Was the linebackers? Was the front seven? It was that secondary in the back. And of course, you're not worried about Kevin Byard. You're not worried about Monty Hooker. You're worried about Christian Fulton and Roger McCreary, Sean Murphy Bunting, and that contingency that's going to be lining up in front of those receivers at the front line of defense. And they didn't look very good yesterday.
Yeah, pretty much dead accurate there, buddy. All right, so enough of the good stuff, because the defense was pretty much, defense was pretty good. I don't, like I said, I don't have a lot of bad things to say about the defense.
No, they were just on the field too much, man. We gave them so many opportunities, and it's just like I said. Eventually, the defense is going to crack after that, and being in bad field position, and just they were going to take advantage eventually because we gave them way too many opportunities.
If you look at when they scored that touchdown, the defense was gassed. They were.
Yeah, I was going to say, they were done, man. For somebody put a tweet out and was like, "Oh, Jeffrey Simmons limped off the field," and you could tell, like he got banged up, like in a scrum maybe. But
when he did that, you know what he did? I watched him. What he did, he wasn't even near the guy. Was running past, and all of a sudden he just did a Madden thing. He jumped out there and just took a leap, and it's boom.
Yeah, but I was like, he was tired. If you look at it, as a former athlete, right? You look at it, hands on the hips,
exhausted,
hands on the hips, head back, right? You're trying to find air somewhere. Like, you don't know where you're going to find it. You're just trying to find it somewhere. He was gassed. Aziz was I think Aziz was the only guy that played almost every snap yesterday, almost every defensive snap. He was out there. Number 2 was out there. But that defense, you can't expect the defense to stay out there and play 88, 90, 100, 101 snaps back to back on long drives. And then the offense comes out and doesn't give you anything, right? They don't give you any kind of breather. It's going to get ugly if this offense cannot get it done. But I know Matt can talk about the offense.
Yeah, I'm dying to, man, because to be honest, I have seen a lot of hate on the internet that is, I guess, perhaps somewhat warranted. Some people, I guess, can go ahead and hit the panic button if they're ready to. I'm not, but the biggest thing that bothers me is the hate on the play calling. And the thing I see the most is Derrick Henry was hot, and we should have just kept feeding Derrick Henry the ball. And I see you shaking your head over there, SpiderTitan, but isn't that what we were complaining about all last year? was that all we did was feed Henry the ball. So here's my question.
Go ahead.
Are we only happy with our coordinators when we win?
Yes.
No.
Because it doesn't make any sense to me. When you look at that game last night, as a coach, as someone who schemes up plays himself, to watch the scheme between what we saw last night versus what we saw all of last season is vastly different. We saw two plays where there was a wide open not wide receiver. One was a tight end, one was a running back, but two people screaming down the lines. All that Ryan Tannehill had to do was throw up a lollop. Just, here's the ball, man.
Well, he had he had 4 of them, and he missed 3 of them.
All right, I was giving him credit on those. I was just saying the scheme plays by Tim Kelly, specific plays that were made to make specific people open, and it worked like a charm. And not only that, they weren't. I mean, look at the pass to run ratios. Look everything. Look at the numbers of the game instead of just saying, "Oh, well, it was bad play calling." It wasn't bad play calling. Even throughout the game, I saw people tweeting, "Oh, well, it's just run, punt, or whatever. Run,
they
incompletion punt."
They couldn't have been watching the game.
And it was like, what is wrong with you people? It doesn't matter what you get, you're gonna complain about it. And it just frustrated me because as a coach, I saw a massive difference and a massive improvement on what we saw last year compared to this year as far as scheme wise.
I mean, there's potential. I mean, play calling, but at the same time, you got to play the game. You have to go with the flow of the game. Like I said, you can't sit here and just like, okay, I'm gonna call this play just because I want to call this play. You got to think Henry is dominating. Okay, give him a break every now and then. But there's a few things or a few series. All we did was pass. It was straight pass, and then we punt. Okay, and then 2 passes don't work, and then we're gonna punt or we're gonna run. And it's just, I mean, the scheme was just everywhere. To me, the whole game, the whole play calling was just, it's just like, okay, what can we call? It's like, okay, I'm gonna show off some stuff, but at the same time, you're gonna put the hand. For me, they put Tannehill up to where he doesn't need to be. Okay, Tannehill is not what he used to be. And he's not mobile like he used to be. He's a straight up now pocket passer. He's not running anywhere anymore. So they put the ball in his hands when he wasn't doing well. I mean, here he's already like 1 or 2 interceptions deep, and we're sitting here just letting him pass the ball when he's not getting any look. Okay, you're seeing every time Henry touched the ball, about 90% of the time he's busting yards. I mean, it's like they didn't use him enough. They say, oh, let's just call this cute little play to Tajay Sharp, and all of a sudden, okay, now we're gonna throw a pass, and then of course Tannehill, once he finds comfort in like, oh, this guy caught this pass, so I'm gonna throw it to him again on the next one, just like he did with Nesquik. He caught one pass and then he threw him again and again, and he tried to throw it again. It didn't work. He said, okay, I'm gonna do the same thing to Hopkins. I'm gonna throw it to Hopkins one time. Oh, look, he caught it. Let me throw it to him again. It's not gonna work. And then we had Treylon Burks. He had that one drop pass. I could have changed the game, but he had that one drop pass. Other than that, they tried everything cute with him. They try to do a little wheel route. They try to do something different. Okay, I can see him being used in certain ways. But I mean, when you got Henry, we have an identity. Okay, every team should have an identity, and passing the ball is not our identity. It's always been run the ball, maintain the clock, and control the game. Okay, and we totally just went away from that. Like, okay, like Henry, he sat on the field, or he sat on the sidelines for like 2 straight series without being in at all. That is a total no-no, because you know why? I mean, yeah, you're trying to take the defense by surprise by like, oh, hey, this is something different. But at the same time, it's not working. The run was working the whole time, and they usually say on the commentary, like, run it until they stop it. Okay, run it until they stop it. Keep busting at them, wearing them down. And we started doing that at first, but then all of a sudden the whole game plan changed in the second half. It's like, okay, I feel like we were playing catch up when it's only a 1-point game. We were ahead at one point and we're still passing the ball. It's like, we have to get our main person involved. Okay, because you've seen the way Henry was running the ball. I mean, to me, if you were playing a video game, you're going to keep feeding Henry until they stop it. If not, you're going to throw a couple of play action plays, which they did. They have a lot of great new play action plays. That's awesome. But at the same time, you're putting a lot of pressure on Tannehill when his game wasn't really going that well, against the Saints. And it's like, okay, you can't just sit here and just, keep telling him to pass the ball when he's not doing well. I mean, he's not being accurate. And like I said, we have to depend on the people that we can depend on what's working throughout the game. Okay, the little throwing to Henry, what do you call it, here and there, is working. He gets all these yards. Okay, we gotta mix in the run no matter what. You have to. Okay, we're basically, I thought we were almost playing in the second half like the Saints were playing. Like, okay, they're gonna pass the ball, we're gonna pass the ball. That's not how that works. Okay, we wear down teams, we knock them down. Henry is the strongest person when it gets to the game flow as the game goes on. Okay, third and fourth quarter are his dream quarters. Okay, and we act like we didn't know that anymore. Like, okay, we're just going to shy away from that totally, and we're just going to sit here and do what we want to do and just call all these plays because I got a whole bunch of new plays in front of me. That's just not what you got to do. You got to play the game. You got to go with the game flow. It's just like, honestly, we can go back to the Super Bowl whenever the Falcons blew the Super Bowl. Why? Because they were passing the ball. Yes, they're a passing team, but they had the lead so many times in those games where they blew those games. The NFC Championship against the Niners and the Super Bowl whenever they were playing the Patriots. What are they doing? They're sitting there passing the ball, stopping the clock. Do not do that. You have the lead. If they would have ran the ball some more and mixed it up their play calls, they would have had 2 Super Bowls by now. But guess what? They don't because of their game flow, and they want to stick to their identity, which is pass the ball. We should stick to identity for us to help us win games, which is run the ball, either with Tajay Sharp or with Derrick Henry. We are a running team, period. And we should stay a running team. Play action's our game. Pass here and there, it works. What do you call it? Tannehill is not who he used to be. He needed to play after those two interceptions. He should have played the short game because the short game is where we're going to get him. Run the ball, short game, pass action or play action, screen pass, run the ball. That's us. That was working for us, and we just totally went away from it because they were stopping everything we try to throw at any receiver. We got open every now and then, but at the same time, it wasn't working. Tannehill could not run outside the pocket and try to make something happen. For me, I was wanting to see Malik. After that third interception, I was like, you know what? We got to lose because you know what? Putting him in, he's got the game flow. Let him get something going on. Maybe he can create some excitement because you got to think if you put in that quarterback, that changes the whole defense's game plan against coming against us. They're like, okay, well, now we got to defend the run. Okay, what's Malik gonna do? We were planning for Tannehill, but now we're doing this. He had to do something. Because the game was it been grabbed so many times. Tannehill just did not seem right. He wasn't settled. He had time in the pocket. I don't know why people are complaining about the offensive line. The offensive line lost it after being out there for so long and just them not working. And it's not working because all they're doing is passing. Okay, we know they're going to pass, so we're going to sit there and just drive at them the whole time. They're not going to run the ball. Oh, Henry's not in. They're not running the ball. That's just the way it went. Tajay Sharp, I think he had like 2 or 3 runs by himself all the rest of the time. He had like almost, they said he had like 32 touches. And like 2 or 3 of those were runs. All the rest were all pass. It's like
he had 30. He was averaging like 9 yards a pop on runs. But I think you were spot on when you said like Ryan Tannehill, right? Ryan Tannehill did this when AJ Brown was tight. AJ would get open, hit him, right, and then it's like, where's AJ Brown? Stare him down, throw him the ball, right, and defenses pick that up, and then the game that we all hate to talk about, but it happened, was the Cincinnati Bengals versus Tennessee Titans, right, in the divisional round of the playoffs, where Ryan Tannehill stares down A.J. Brown, interception, stares down A.J. Brown, another interception. Let me stare down A.J. Brown again, and it's another interception. And arguably, we could win that game if we don't give away the ball 4 times. This game was indicative of that. Ryan Tannehill stared down DeAndre Hopkins 3 straight times and threw it in the double coverage. Each time there was an interception. And it's like, and the problem for me is, I think the issue is like, I like what Tim Kelly did. Like, I like it. It wasn't, we know Derrick Henry was going to run the ball on first down. Like, just in our second drive of the game in the first quarter. Okay. Derrick Henry off the left side for 6 yards. That was on first down. Our next first down, Tannehill gets sacked, right? 2nd and 10, Derrick Henry gets the ball. 3rd and 4, it was a short pass to Tajay Spears, right? Penalty on Taylor, right? Who gets us another first down. The very next first down, we get the false start, right? 1st and 15, short pass to DeAndre Hopkins for 9 yards. right? Like it wasn't like that could have easily been a Derrick Henry run for 6, right? But Tim Kelly said, no, I'm going to come out. I'm going to play against the tendency because you're looking for number 22 to get the ball, right? And everyone is used to. I think Titans fans are used to the type like as fans, right? We're used to the Terry Robisky kind of exotic smash mouth, Todd, Arthur Smith play action pass, Todd Downing run pass, right? Kind of cadence play call. And Tim Kelly's never been that guy. If you look at him in Houston, the reason that they beat us so much was because Deshaun Watson was Deshaun Watson, but they had the threat of Deshaun Watson as a thrower, as a runner, right? And they would throw the ball on first downs to keep you honest. They're going to keep those safeties back. They're going to keep that box light, and then they're going to give you a chance to pound the ball. Lamar Miller is nowhere near where Derrick Henry was, but there was many times when Lamar Miller gashes, right? Because our safeties are playing 12 yards off the ball. Because DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson and all those other guys are threats to go catch the ball. What I saw yesterday was Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, there was the threat. And you saw May and Adebo and Marshawn Lattimore playing off the ball, 6-7 yards off the ball, because they respected the fact that Ryan Tannehill could drop back and throw this ball, right? Even with Derrick Henry in the game, he could drop back and throw this. Then Tajay Spears comes in, and it's a whole different dynamic. Like that, he had like a 9-yard run where he ducked and dodged his way up the field, and it was a total change. It was a total change of pace. But again, the third interception that Ryan Tannehill is the one that he threw was the one that sticks in my craw a little bit, because as someone who knows what they're looking at, it's if you look at the backside, right? If Ryan Tannehill just takes his eyes off of DeAndre Hopkins for 2 seconds and looks on the backside, there was no one within 15 yards of number 16. No one. Like, lay it out there, let him run up under it. There is no one over there. Everyone, if you look at where number 10 was, everyone ran to that side of the field. Number 16, he literally had his arm up and was like, if you throw this ball, I got one. That touchdown, if we score that touchdown, it puts the game away. Because it wasn't like New Orleans could get, they weren't getting anything. Like, they didn't score the entire fourth quarter. Like, we scored 6 points in the fourth quarter. They scored 0. They outscored us 10 to 3 in the third quarter. Mm-hmm. 10 unanswered points to start the third quarter. Those are, and like you said, he had 2 perfectly schemed up touchdown throws that he completely overshot. Chigo Compo down the sideline, streaking down the sideline, had DeMario Davis 2 steps on him. If he lays that out there, at worst, we're on the 5 and 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but it's Chigo Compo. I trust the guy. Who ran a 4.45, right, to be a linebacker into the end zone. And then there was the Tajay Spears, right, where Tajay has to adjust to this ball that should have been laid out in front of him inside where there's no safety, right? You throw that ball.
Nobody.
You throw that ball slightly inside. He runs up under it, and he has the speed. I mean, he did clock in at 20.8 miles an hour, right, in the preseason. He has the speed to get there. But then there was the other, like, literally Tajay Spears in the end zone. Only thing Ryan Tannehill has to do is drop the ball down just a little bit, just slightly, and Tajay Spears is in the end zone for a touchdown. These are the things, like, these are the miscues that Tennessee cannot afford to have. Because next week we got the LA Chargers. They just put up 34 points in a loss. Like, we've got to get this together because we have to score. And again, next week is the kind of game that we win because no one's expecting us to.
Exactly.
But like, these are the plays that have to. And it, like I said, it's not Tim Kelly's. It wasn't Tim Kelly's play calling. And I think people need to understand he's a new play caller. Right, it's a new look. It's something that you haven't seen before, and it looks chaotic because it's something you haven't seen before. We're so used to 2-man routes and simple go route on the backside, 15-yard dig or up under it, right? Simple two-man concepts that Tim Kelly's offense looks like a bunch of squiggly lines on a chalkboard, right? But it's if you look at it for what it is, it's structured that way because defenses get confused. Like if Ryan Tannehill doesn't stare down DeAndre Hopkins on a couple of those plays, he literally had 2 men open.
Nails. Yep. And I hate to contradict or whatever you want to call it, but I saw Andre Dillard get pushed back in the very first series. I think he was the reason that the first series was stopped. Now, according to PFF, he didn't have any sacks on him at all. According to me, he had 2, but whatever.
Well,
officials.
The one that you're talking about, there was the one where Granderson pretty much gored Ryan Tannehill out of nowhere. That one they gave to Peter Skoronski for some odd reason. But here's my issue with some of the sacks because to me the starting offensive line looked amazing. That's just my personal opinion.
Other than Chris Hubbard and Andre Dillard,
well, here's the thing about Chris Hubbard. Go back and look at some of those long runs. Chris Hubbard was out there pancaking guys.
I agree.
I'll take that.
As a run blocker, he's good. I agree with that. As a pass
blocker, it could he leaves a little bit to be desired. But my thing is Ryan Tannehill had an average time of 2.6 seconds per drop back. That is higher than the average. That puts him in the top 10 in the NFL through 1 week for time in the pocket. I think the first play where like Ryan Tannehill ducks out the backside of the pocket, right, and tries to. It was like, why did you have? You didn't have to. You didn't have to. If you stand tall, there's literally 2 men wide open that you could have hit. Like Ryan Tannehill, I don't know what's gotten into him. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if last year he still has some little shell shock.
I do.
But
go ahead and finish. I'm gonna tell y'all here.
I don't know if last year had some shell shock or what. But this is not the same. Like, and I agree with SpiderTitan, man. This is not the same Ryan Tannehill that we've seen in the past. It's not. And call it an overreaction. I posted this on Twitter, and you can come find me at DC Griffin. Come find me. I said it. His days are numbered now. Like Ryan Tannehill, after this game, he shortened his leash. Like he has shortened his leash. I think after this year, there was a possibility if he performed, maybe they keep him for another 2 years. But after week 1, where people were saying this is a winnable game for the Titans, a lot of people picked the Tennessee Titans. We had the lead going into halftime, and you throw 2 more interceptions that were unforgivable interceptions. These weren't, it was just good coverage. It was literally like you threw the ball to a guy who was covered by 2 men. Right? Like you forgot how to play quarterback for 30 minutes. And that's unexcusable. Like it's unexcusable. So to me, his leash is shortened. And like I agree with SpiderTitan, man. This is not the same number 17 that we've seen ever seen.
All right. So here's my spiel. Usually I'm not a big I told you so guy. I don't like saying I told you so because most of the time when I'm right, it's a negative thing like it is now. But this is why you play people in the preseason. I understand everybody's reservations as a Titans fan that you don't want to see people get hurt in a meaningless game. But the reason that the NFL has a preseason is so that people can knock the dust off and the rust off from last season. You actually used to play when we had 4 preseason games. Typically, the first one, you didn't see any starters in. The second one, you would see 1 series. The third one, you would see like maybe a quarter almost. And the fourth one, they would usually play an entire half. Now we get 1 series in the third game, and all he does is hand the ball off. He had 0 pass attempts in the preseason. And we wonder why he walked out there and threw 3 ducks up. I mean, come on, man. It's simple math. there's no excuse for it. You want to know why Harold Landry looks so rusty? Because he only got like 46% of the snaps in the third game. That was it. That's all he got. So he had no prep time. You cannot simulate live action football. I don't care who you are, especially in the pros, man. You might not be able to do, I mean, you can't even really do it in the little leagues that I coach. Nevertheless, when you get to like high school and college, and certainly not in the pros. So that's my big beef right now, is the fact that they didn't play in the preseason. And I called it just like I called it last year. We lose the first game. Typically, ever since Vrabel has got here, it's my one big beef with him is that he doesn't play his players in the preseason, and we always lose the first game of the season. I'm sorry, I'm done now. Y'all go ahead.
I mean, shout out to Kayla. So shout out to Titans reporter Kayla Anderson. I don't know if you guys follow her, but she posted yesterday or this morning. She said that Mike Vrabel said after the game that offensive lineman Daniel Brunskill, who was previously with the San Francisco 49ers, came up to him and said, "Hey, coach, 49ers lost week 1 in Chicago, and we were playing late in the year." Vrabel appreciated that. Like, that to me says a lot, right? Week 1 is it's going to be the most overreacted. And I fell for the okey doke, right? Like, I jumped on the bandwagon. I said, I'm going to overreact because I can do it, right? But the thing is that we fail to realize, like, people give Bill Belichick credit for creating a winning atmosphere and a winning culture, right? He hasn't done anything since Tom Brady left, right? People credit Doug Peterson for what he's done in Jacksonville and what he did in Philadelphia. Hasn't done anything since, right? Since he won that Super Bowl. Andy Reid in Kansas City. Sorry, I don't know why that blinked my mind. Right, created a winning culture. People give those guys grace. Give Mike Vrabel that same grace. He's created a winning atmosphere in Nashville.
Oh, love the coach.
We were a team that was consistently 8-8, 8-8, 7, 8-8. This, it was. Oh, we got a good season, and then we're ticking down. Like, then we had something for promise, and then we ticked down. Like, this has been the most consistent the Titans have been outside of 7-10 year of last year. We won 13 games, 2 years ago. We were 10-7, I think, a year before that, 9-7, 2 years before that. Like, this is the most consistent winning that we've had. Do not run this man out of Nashville.
No, we don't want that.
And I don't think I think Mike Vrabel's the kind of guy, he's not going to run away, right? Because he loves it. He'd rather you be mad at him and hate him because he thrives off of that kind of thing. But my thing is this is the guy who we have. I'm okay with losing week 1. Do you know how many coaches lose? The Kansas City Chiefs went out and lost to the Detroit Lions. Yes, you heard that right. On banner night, they lost to the Detroit Lions on national television. Do you guys think that the Kansas City Chiefs are down and out? Patrick Mahomes looked like a shell of himself, right? This is a guy who threw 18, who's never lost a week 1 since he entered the league as a starting quarterback, right? Had 18 touchdowns, no interceptions. Not only did he have, I think he had like 2 touchdowns in that game, threw an interception. These are all first, and he also lost, and looked bad. Looked human, right? For a guy that we said was not human. Number 15 is not human. Best quarterback in the league, right? This is a guy that, for all intents and purposes, right, had a horrible game. The Tennessee Titans over the last couple of years, go back to last year, or was it last year or the year before last year, where we got road raged at home by the Cardinals, who might be the worst team in the league this year, right? Like, we simply went out and laid a complete egg to the tune of, I don't even think we scored a point that game. And it was 2 years ago. We ended up being in the playoffs that year. Like, this is the kind of team that you have. 7-10 was an anomaly for us at this point. Injuries bit us, and that's one thing I want to say was a positive for yesterday. We came out of it virtually unscathed. Virtually, right? I mean, yes, two guys. But we're going to see what their injury status is as we get closer to this upcoming Sunday. But we came out with minimal injuries. If this was last year, we'd be looking at 6 or 7 guys on the injury report that we may not see until mid-season, right? Like we came out with minimal injuries. This is a team, like you said, the preseason is coming back to bite us. But I'm confident I'm confident with LA coming to Nashville. I'm confident that we can win that game. I'm confident that we can win in our division. Looking at our division, the Jaguars didn't look amazing. They didn't look great.
No,
right?
Not against the Indianapolis Colts.
Right. The Colts didn't look great. They looked okay. They looked great. And the Texans, for all of the amazing things that I heard from Texans fans off season,
looked terrible.
They look pedestrian. The Titans are still the cream of the crop of this division. We're still one of the toughest teams to come face in the AFC. This is week 1 against and we lost with 3 turnovers on the board. We lost by this many points. If we still had Badgley and what's the other guy whose name shall not be mentioned, number 14, as a kicker, right, and not Nick Folk, we probably lose that game 16-0 because we wouldn't be able to make a field goal. Like these are the things, like these are the slight things, right? Some things that we have to clean up. Penalties are going to have to be cleaned up. 4 for 45, that's very uncharacteristic, right, for Tennessee Titans, right, a Mike Vrabel coach team that has been one of the least penalized over the last 6 years. So these are all things that I don't think are going to be norms for us. If Ryan Tannehill can come out and clean this up, we're fine. If he doesn't, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Hey guys, my time is a little short. I got to get to work.
I'm sorry, man.
Oh,
yeah.
It's all right, man. We appreciate you being on the show. Thank you so much. And if you want to, you can shout out whoever you want. Let them know where they can find you.
I still got a little bit of time. I was just letting you know my time is short. It's only 8:08, or 8:09. But like I said, if you wanted to, if I any more questions or anything like that, because I gotta get to work, man. I gotta go make this Walmart money. And
are you going to be at the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm at every home game. I'm a season ticket member.
Great.
Yeah, if I don't miss the game, rain, sleet, shine, I don't care. I'm there, man.
I'm glad because I've seen you before. I just was like, and my wife was like, "Is that a guy with a Spider-Man mask?" But it's hilarious. My wife was like, "Is that a guy with a Spider-Man mask?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's SpiderTitan." Like, I was like, "It's just
you don't know who he is."
Yeah, I was like, "You don't know who that is?" And she was like, "Oh, I didn't know." Like, dude, you're a fan favorite, bro. Keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate you, man. Yeah, a lot of people. There's, how big this fan base is, man. There's still a lot of people that I just don't know. And like I said, we have fans that just go to the games just to have fun. I mean, there's some people, like I said, that just don't know. I mean, especially around the league, around other teams and everything. But I know all the super fans in every team pretty much. So I mean, my name gets out there. If I just I just try to keep going, and like I said, just get more and more known against the fan base. Just keep helping out the fan base as much as possible. Like I said, I have random fans hit me up all the time, that are Titans fans and not Titans fans. And like I said, I just try to help out everybody to get my name out there as much as possible, so they know what I do, and like I said, how much I help contribute, the sport, how much I contribute to, each community. It's not just my community. It's not just the Tennessee community. It's the Kentucky community. Like I said, I've connected with all kinds of kids and all kinds of families all across the United States and in the UK and in Mexico, everything like that, man. So I mean, I'm getting more out there, more and more and more. So like I said, it's a big world, man. You gotta think, you gotta take it little by little, year by year, and then eventually it's going to grow and grow and grow, which it has done the past 4 years. And like I said, I'm more well known than I am now than I was when I first started. So I said, it's just a blessing all the way around. Like I said, it's just only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger every year, which all my events do. Like I said, just my presence and, just in the city or even at the games, it's crazy, man. Like I said, it's all a blessing, man.
Well, right on, man. We really appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us and all that. I don't really have any other personal questions for you. You have anything else you want to add about the game, man?
No, like I said, it's just the game flow, man. We just got to play our best players. Like I said, not every game is going to be the same. We got to go with the game flow. I mean, whatever works, you got to keep going with what works. Okay, you want to, no matter what, at the end of the day, you want to win the game. Okay, we're going to have to do whatever it takes to win the game. Like I said, you got to go with your hot players. You know, it's just like that's like not passing the ball to Jordan. I mean, why would you not pass the ball to Jordan or Kobe whenever you know they're hot? You know, you're like, oh, well, he's doing really good, but at the same time, he's having a hot game. But we're gonna pass it to this guy and let him shoot. It's like, it's like the it's like the J.R. Smith thing with Cleveland. Whenever they gave him the ball and then he didn't know how much time was on the clock, and they should have just let LeBron do the thing. And like I said, man, I won that game. But you just gotta go with your hot players, man. I mean, you see Henry; he's a different beast this year. He's totally healthy. He's explosive. He looks bigger and he looks faster. It's just you got to go with the game flow. I mean, if Henry's not getting it, that's when we turn to Tannehill or whoever's going to be at quarterback in the future, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a difference. Hopefully, before it's too late, before the end of the season, or before the season's actually already lost. They try to give Malik a chance because, like I say, you've seen it. I mean, to me, like I say, he proved himself. He went 2-0. What do you call it in the preseason, because the first game you can't even count because him and Levis shared reps the whole time. So you can't even put that loss on him. But as soon as Malik had to take over, he managed the game. Yes, I mean, he threw one interception each one of those games, and they were both down the middle and straight to a defender. But you know what? It was only one, not three. He learned his lesson. You could see the growth in him. He has the ability to run as a quarterback, which we do need that, because over the past few years, that's been a success for our quarterbacks, and it's always been a success for our quarterbacks when they're able to run out of the pocket. McNair, Young, Locker did it for a little bit until he just got murdered, by what we call it, by having a crappy defensive line or offensive line, and he didn't last long. But Mariota was a runner. Like I said, every pocket pass that we really had has always limited our game, and it just wasn't as much as successful as us having a pocket or a running quarterback, a scrambling quarterback. And that's just what we need. That's our identity. I mean, Levis can even run if he needed to. Like I said, Willis can run. He makes a difference. Like I said, he's willing to take the shots that Tannehill's not taking. He's willing to see the open field. He's young. Like I said, when you've been in this league for so long, you try to find a blanket. It's like I felt like we were, Tannehill was trying to find somebody he had comfort in, which he had AJ Brown. And it's like sometimes he would just throw it to Hopkins, expecting him to catch it, and Hopkins he's not even in position to catch the ball. He's not even know it's coming, and it's just he's double covered. He's just putting too much trust into his wide receivers when he needs to be looking at the field and just taking what the defense gives him. That's exactly what Derek Carr did. He took exactly what the defense gave him, and that's why he was successful, and that's why they ended up winning that game. And Tannehill just got to shake off the cobwebs. I know a couple of years ago he said he was, going through a dark stage, after blowing that game, in the playoffs. And like I said, he hasn't been the same. And he did pretty good last year, but all of a sudden he got hurt, and that's just totally affected his game. Also, he sees Malik around him, he sees Levis around him. He's got that pressure of basically, his career is almost over. I mean, I think he's in his late 30s. I think he's in his last year or two. But anything can change. Like I said, the future is coming. Like I said, he's not happy about it. He's not looking forward to it. He's scared of it. Because you got to think he's sitting there watching Malik, do his thing in the preseason, and he's seen him take leadership, win those 2 games. The guys are behind, the whole team is behind him, and he sees that, say he sees growth, and he says like, man, maybe he could take my position, but at the same time, we weren't even going to give it to him. We weren't even giving him, both of them the benefit of the doubt. We're letting them battle out, instead of just putting the pressure on Tannehill, and Tannehill's just taking it easy during practices, throwing all these nice little, passes and stuff without any pressure on him. And as soon as the pressure starts kicking in, it's like, okay, well, dang, no, because I don't know if you've seen the interview at the podium, he brushed off the whole thing. I mean, he's like, it's whatever. That word whatever, to me, when he said that, I was like, you know what, this guy's not going to say, hey, guys, it's my bad. I threw those 3 interceptions. I cost us the game. We should have went with a different method. He should step up, okay? Because for me, he just took it and I'm just going to do this interview and basically just, give him a little bit of a run around about what happened during the game, and I'm just going to go about my way. That's basically what I saw. I didn't see leadership. I didn't see accountability of him taking the responsibility for throwing crappy interceptions. Hey, I wasn't seeing the field right. We got a new system, trying to work out this play. He didn't give us anything. He basically just brushed off the whole thing, and that was it. This is even Vrabel didn't give us that much either. Vrabel's going to cover the whole status of the game. Okay, he's going to give you everything. He's going to give you a little bit of a runaround, but at the same time, he's not going to give you too much information. He's not going to put the blame on anybody. It's just he's just going to take it as a whole, take it as a team, and move on to the next week. And that's basically how he took his interview. But you see Tannehill, he dodges questions left and right when the blame is on him when he's doing interviews and stuff. But to me, he's got to step up. If he doesn't do well in this next game, because this is going to be a tough game, because it's going to be at home. That's our only advantage. But at the same time, it's like you got to think you're in front of your home crowd, and everybody's going to be watching you because of how you performed last week. And you can tell if Tannehill makes the smallest mistake. How sensitive our fan base is. It's like you're going to hear a bunch of boos. Like you're going to hear the calling for somebody else. You're going to hear just like, why aren't we running Henry? And just, you're going to hear it all again if things don't go our way. Because this is an explosive offense from the Chargers. Like I said, they put up 34 points in a loss. And we're having the troubles as we did last year. We came and put up, a couple of points, a couple of touchdowns on the field or on the scoreboard. Without our kicker, we wouldn't have had any points. I mean, good thing we have a kicker. That's the best move they've made so far this offseason is getting a kicker right as soon as we needed one, because we needed this guy. He's very accurate. I mean, he's very dependable over the past few years. Ever since his career, honestly, he's only missed like 3 or 4 field goals in the past like handful of years, which that's awesome. So we should have had him a long time ago. If not worked out a deal a long time ago. Luckily, we did get that deal because, like I said, we probably wouldn't have any points on the scoreboard. But I mean, Tannehill's got to do his thing, because if he doesn't do his thing, I mean, like I said, his days are numbered, and I just hope it isn't too late before we lose the rest of the season and we finally decide to put in Malik and see what he's got. I mean, Malik won the job to me, honestly, because Levis didn't stay healthy. I mean, it's just the way it goes. You didn't show up for the game. You were only there for half the game. I mean, he looked okay. He looked like a straight up rookie. I mean, his passing wasn't all that great when he did, and now, like I said, that first preseason game when he just lobbed that ball up and it was an interception, didn't give us a chance. So to me, I thought Malik had the hotter hand. You got to go with who has the hot hand. Just like I said in the very beginning of my comments. You got to go with the hot hand. You got to go who's producing. You got to go who's going to win you this game. Okay, because it's all about winning the game. It's not being cute. It's not being throwing out these cool plays. Impressing the fan base with this or that. You got to play the game flow. You got to win this game. Whoever has the hot hand, you got to feed it to him. Like I said, all you have to do is mix it up just a little bit. It doesn't take much to have Henry getting and going in this game, because he's got such power, such speed. And like I say, he's our leader. I mean, you got to treat him like he's our leader. You can't just treat him like, the value thing. The whole value thing of the running back kicked in my brain the whole time I was watching the game. Like, okay, here comes the value of the running back. Like I said, I didn't see any really running backs besides McCaffrey this past week that blew up. Like, honestly, because McCaffrey's the only one I think that had like a long run, for a touchdown. Everybody else was playing the small game, passing the ball. It's just, I mean, everybody just, like I said, that whole mentality of the value in that running back, that just kicked in for everybody. Even the Saints didn't run the ball that well, or run the ball that much, even though we were stopping the run. But at the same time, you don't see it trying to pound it down our throats. They don't have that back. They don't have Alvin Kamara, even though it's their game is pass and run. But at the same time, it's like, they weren't pounding at us, which they, later on during the game, they got away with a couple of them. And of course, that ended up costing us the game at the very end, once it was that 3rd and 4, when we could have stopped them. But, it just didn't work that way because we were looking for a pass. They were passing us all game long, and then all of a sudden they decided to run the ball. We should be running the ball and, like I said, working in the pass like we used to. I mean, there's some techniques that work that we should have kept. And it doesn't hurt to have, to take in from last year or other coaches or before us. Okay, this is our face. Okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna work with our face first, and then I'm gonna work my own stuff into the offense to where I can show what I got. But at the same time, we're gonna keep our face. We're gonna keep the game. Like I said, people are scared of Henry. Period. I don't care who you are, and no matter what, that man wears out everybody. Every team that he ever plays against, he wears them out. I mean, you're going to be scared of that guy. There's not one person on that field that's not scared of Derrick Henry. I mean, you got to keep that fear in, because as soon as that fear goes away, like I said, your whole output on the game, on the defensive side from the other team, is going to look completely different. Oh, they have got Henry in him. We got this. That's a total confidence boost, because you don't know what Tajay Sharp is. They don't know if he's going to do anything because he's a rookie. And then you got Hopkins. Hopkins is covered. We ain't got to worry about Hopkins. Everybody else has got to prove themselves, not Hopkins. He's the one that's good. because everybody else didn't have too many catches. I mean, all we got to do is cover this guy. Henry's not in the game. Okay, all we got to do is cover these little guys right here that nobody's worried about. That's a total confidence boost for that defense, which they played in total confidence the whole time because they didn't get a touchdown scored on them, which they should have. But at the same time, that was our fault. That's our quarterback's fault. It's a total team loss. And of course, defense, they can only play so much. They can only they can only be out there so long, before they start to crack. But I mean, putting that much pressure on our defense like we did last year and the year before that, we put so much pressure on them. It's just like, we wonder why we lose games because we can't move the ball. I mean, like, we're not sticking with the game plan. If not, our game plan is too predictable. But now it's not. Like I said, I wish sometimes we were calling play action. We needed to call a run. We knew what we were doing: pass, 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 run, run, pass, pass, pass. And then they tried the Tad Downing one for like one series. They went run, run, pass. I was like, okay, well, here we go with that one. That one didn't work out. But, they've got to find a game plan instead of just sitting here calling plays and feeling what they feel is going to work. They, like I said, they just got to have the plays that work, the plays that don't work, and the plays that we can try. That's just how you got to have it. It's like when I play Madden, what do you call it? There's only certain games. You got to study the game, the playbook as it is. Okay, because there's some plays in that game that won't allow you to work. Like I said, some play actions, if you don't get it right, the guy's coming straight after you just lost like 5 or 6 yards. You don't even have an opportunity to even, the icons to pop up to even throw the ball. Okay, that's just the way it goes. Running the ball, it's just like, if it works, just keep going with it. Keep going with it. Then you mix in the little stuff. And like I said, they just got to figure out a game plan because Tannehill could not bomb the ball. I see him try to throw that ball as far as he could. It was all of them were underthrown. I mean, if not, they were just not accurate. So I hope they're really hard on him during this week of practice, and I hope they put the heat under his butt because, like I said, if it ain't going to be them, it's going to be the fans, and if not, it's going to be the social media. It's going to be social media, and it's just going to be the media in general for the NFL, and just like I said, they're just going to have the whole outlook on us, and then all of a sudden we're going to hear about it. It's going to kill our mojo. I said we're all healthy. We have the best possible season this year because we are so healthy. And as the season goes on, injuries will come. But at the same time, we need to take advantage of it now while everybody is healthy. Get our identity back. We've got to win these games because if you look at the schedule, man, yeah, the Bengals may not be all that right now, but at the same time, they're going to start clicking because of all the talent they have on offense. And like I said, the next 3 games are the Chargers and the Browns and the Bengals. I mean, they're all strong. They're all strong teams, no matter what. They all can score. And guess what? If we don't start scoring and get ourselves together, we're looking 0-4 dead in the face, and it doesn't get any easier besides division games as we go along.
Well,
yeah, I've been a Titans fan for a long time, man. Hey, guess what? I'm used to losing. I'm used to the way things are. I don't care either way. I love our team. I'm behind them. When we went 2-14, I got my first Titans tattoo. I am down to all the way. But you know what? With right in front of you, you got to play the logic. We've seen so many players. We've seen so many coaches. We've seen so many records. We've seen so many scenarios. We've seen so many injuries. We've seen it all. We've seen every single thing that you can see as a Titans fan. And it's the hardest thing to be as a Titans fan and continue to support this team the way it is and the way everything is going. But at the same time, they have to work it out because we have the talent. We've had so many opportunities. The past 2 seasons, we've had all these injuries. We've had the most injuries in the past 2 seasons out of any team ever. You know what I mean? And guess what? We've always had the opportunity to get to that level. We've always had the opportunity to make the playoffs. We've made the playoffs as the number 1 seed with like 100-something players played. I mean, who else is going to do that? Nobody's done that. Last season we had so many opportunities just to win one more game to get the division. We just couldn't do it. We've seen it all. We just got to get ourselves together, remember who we are, set a game plan, play Titans defense and just play Titans ball. And like I said, we just need to take what's ours. I mean, we just got to step up as men. We got to step up as a team. We got to step up as a fan base. We just all got to stick together. Everything is right in front of us. It's just like we can't do anything because of the players. We see a lot of players doing what they're supposed to be doing. But at the same time, when you see the problems, you have to correct them. And if they're not corrected, we have to do something about it. I mean, we can't just milk. We just can't keep milking it. And hopefully this guy will keep on like going to work. Maybe this guy will catch on after like about a week or 2, and then weeks turn into months, and months turn into more months, and it's like they're keeping the same thing. And like I said, you're sticking with the same guy or the same game plan that this person's doing, and it's not working, which is Tannehill. So eventually, all eyes need to be on Tannehill because everybody else is doing great. Everybody's trying to do as much as they can The offensive line has improved dramatically. Like I said, he had plenty of time to throw in the pocket. Like I said, he's staring down a receiver. He's looking here. He missed a Conquo. We called when he was under. Instead of throwing all the way in double coverage, he should have thrown under. He was right there, we call it in that one play when he was all by himself. He's just not looking at the field. You just got to go back to the basics. Sometimes you got to go back to basics, man. Like you said, you coach kids. Guess what? Sometimes you got to go back there. Okay. Sometimes you got to go back to that, status, which they don't. They're grown men. They want to do what they want to do. This is the way we do things. We don't do this. We don't do that. I don't see them I don't see them grown men sitting there chopping it up, doing green bays and going up and doing this. I don't see them doing that in practice. They ain't doing none of that. They ain't doing no bear crawls. They ain't doing none of that stuff, man. They're sitting here out here just taking it easy, just running plays, and a couple of bang bangs here and there. But like I said, they got to toughen up, man. Because like I said, if I was a coach, I would have all the way down the line. Get your helmets on, all the way. Treat them like they are. Like I said, they're a bunch of young guys. Like they're all younger than me. I guess I'm 37 years old. It's hard to think about. It's like, these guys are kids. They're fresh out of college. If not, they're still coming into their own. They still don't know, besides them being, superstars and having millions of dollars, they don't know what they want to do with their life after football. They don't know unless they get themselves established, with their money and everything else that comes with it. So there's just so many things, man. Like I said, we just got to stick to, what works. We got to develop a game plan, and we just got to go out there and play Titan football.
Well, I mean, some reasons for, I'm just kind of scrolling. Shout out to Jake, who was on the show last week. And he just posted, some reasons for optimism, right? Peter Skoronski and Daniel Brunskill were graded out as the highest rated guard tandem in the NFL.
Yep.
Like, that is miles ahead of what we had last year. Last year, we were hoping that our guards kind of, shored up and could block at least somebody. And the fact that in his rookie debut, he's the 7th highest rated offensive lineman in his rookie debut in Peter Skoronski. So we've got ourselves a stud. I said it before. I said in the preseason, he's a stud. The Titans and the Cowboys are the only teams with players with multiple sacks. Danico Archer and Arden Key for us. And then Roger McCreary was targeted 4 times on Sunday, only allowed 2 catches for 17 yards. This team has the pieces. We just got to put it together. And so we'll see what happens as we matriculate throughout the season. And like I said, my faith is in Mike Vrabel. My faith is in Rand Carthon. I trust their process. I think they trust their process. And they wouldn't put a team out there that they felt like couldn't win those games. And so, man, it's going to be exciting to see. Breaking news, though, Aaron Rodgers is out, has been ruled out. Zach Wilson is now the starter.
No way, really?
Yeah, and if you look at people, and from looking at this video of the injury, I know what a torn Achilles looks like, and that's what it's looking like right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. But I gotta get going, guys. It's already 8:30. I appreciate you guys having me on the show. You guys are awesome. Keep doing your thing. I appreciate what you guys do.
I appreciate you. I'll be looking for you. I'll be looking for you from the press box.
Yeah, you guys are awesome, man. I appreciate what you guys do. I love all the Titans podcasts, man. You guys are awesome, taking your time out to sit here and throw your analogy out there, and getting and inviting everybody on your show, and like I said, just getting the word out there, trying to ease the tension, ease all the conversation on, just try to bring in a good environment. Like I said, like all our Titans podcasts do. Like I said, we keep the negative out, but at the same time, it's like we always try to keep it positive. We all see what's in front of us. So, like I said, I want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for having me on. You guys are awesome. You guys keep on doing keep on doing what you guys are doing.
Thanks, man. We appreciate you, dude.
Yes, sir. Guys, tighten up.
Yes, sir. Tighten up.
Later, guys.
See ya. All right. So there's really only 2 other things I really wanted to talk about, or 2 other aspects of the game I really wanted to talk about.
I'm all for
it. Special teams, I thought was pretty darn good. And I'm pretty happy with that. The only 2 plays that I saw on special teams that I was a little upset about, obviously, is a block kick by Stonehouse.
The block
And
was detrimental.
yeah, that was terrible, man. We got a block better than that, dude. Dude ran right through the line, untouched. That's unacceptable. Even on my little league team, it's unacceptable. But the oh, come on, brain. Kiaris Jackson did a great job in his debut. I want to give him a shout out. Good job, Kiaris. But there was one play, man, and it worked out. It worked out okay. But man, you shouldn't have grabbed that ball and ducked under that dude and tried to run that thing. When you're doing this and you're pointing at the ground, that means fire, get away. That doesn't mean, hey, let the ball
Well, I
bounce.
think he grabbed it. I think he grabbed it because if I remember that play right, I want to say it was either Vildor or Vidor or Anthony Kendall, like right by the ball. So he had no choice. Like it was either risk a fumble and a turnover or grab the ball and try to get something out of it. But
Okay.
I mean, the guy's super intelligent. Like he's a heads up player, and that's what he's been missing back there.
I was gonna say, if that's the case, then freaking awesome, Kiaris. You did an excellent
I think he learned
job,
his lesson
man.
with Trey Avery trying to jump with the ball.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. All right. So that was pretty much it, though. Other than that, great job on special teams.
I just wish that block punt came at a time where it was like, it was like, oh, it was like one of those like, Jesus Christ, like if we could have made them start from their own 15, 20.
I'm pretty sure that's when they scored their touchdown too, isn't it?
Yeah. It resulted in the score. Yeah. So it was, and I mean,
just makes it worse.
It's tough to be a defense and have to say like, okay, three interceptions, right? Having to defend the short field, but then a block punt, quick change. Now you have to defend the short field. It's difficult to do that over and over and over and over.
Well, not only that, I mean, we had 3 turnovers on offense, but I mean, I know again, official stats say that we only had 2 turnovers, but everybody freaking knows that we had 3 turnovers. It wasn't, that was the other part of the game I was going to talk about was the refs.
Oh, the refs were completely horrible.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you don't blow a play dead that you let go on that long. You don't wait until the guy's running down the field in the other direction and then blow the whistle. That's not how you do it.
Not even that.
If you let the play go that far, you should let it go all the way to the end zone.
You don't call it an incomplete pass.
Yeah, agreed. And even beyond that, if you and I'm not trying to go back on anything. I'm not one of those guys that, I don't care. It's over. It was last season. But you go back and you look at the exact same play that happened to the Titans in the Jaguars game. Exact same thing. You look at the hand. Josh Dobbs actually has a grip on that ball. He's got his fingers around it as he pushes it away. Derek Carr doesn't have his fingers wrapped around the ball, and he punches at it. I mean,
Well, and they teach quarterbacks that, right? If you're getting hit from behind and you know you're losing the ball, you throw your arm forward, right? Because they put it in the refs. And the refs they got some wrong. They got some right. It was, I mean, I'm glad that now it was one play that I'm glad they got wrong, right? Elijah Molden essentially held for some.
Dude, there were so many PI calls that weren't called in that game. I was astounded.
I was like, thank God they didn't call that. But there was a couple of roughing like hands to the face that I saw that didn't get called.
Holding. There was tons of holding.
The holding calls were like blatantly obvious, didn't get called. But again, this is where Mike Vrabel teaches our team, right? It's you don't play for the penalties, right? You play the clean game, and then you don't put yourself in a position where it's, hey, we had got that turnover, we would have won the game, right? If we had got this call, we would have won the game. But still, if we get that fumble, Kevin Byard's in the end zone for a touchdown, right? If we get that. and like I said, the holding calls like would have killed their drives. But again, the refs, like it's the referees, and if you criticize them, you look like a jerk.
I was
right?
gonna say, yeah, you just look like you're a homer and you're just trying to
Right,
save
but
face for your
it's
team.
and like it's like, and it's so
But
many
it's
people like,
true.
yeah, even the expert for CBS was like, if I'm down there, that is a fumble,
Yeah,
right?
Gene Steratore was like, "Oh no, that is a complete."
Yeah, that's a fumble, right? And you don't call, and he even said it. You don't. They teach these guys. You don't call
Don't
that play
whistle.
dead. You don't call that play dead. These guys were. Yesterday was just like it was the most Titan, like I would have thought Ed Hockley was calling the game. And if you
Or
guys
Boger.
know, yeah, you
Jerome
guys know
Boger.
Jerome Boger and Ed Hockley are the two worst people you want to see officiate a Titans game. I don't know what those two
The
guys
haters.
those two guys should be investigated for just the complete and utter massacres of games that they give us. But seriously, I kind of said, and this is a negative for me. I'm on the other side. I thought the special teams was pretty sloppy. I thought special teams was a little lackluster yesterday. And that normally is one of our bread and butter sections of the game. Like it is like we never. You might get a guy who like skates past Ryan Stonehouse, right, or Brett Kern when he was the punter here, right? But you never got a block. It was almost never a block, especially not up the middle. And that was like what is going on, guys? And it may have been just yesterday, right? Whatever could go wrong did go wrong, kind of situations. But again, like I said, I think Mike Vrabel. I think this is going to be a situation where Mike Vrabel is. I can guarantee you, all of those guys got laid into.
Oh yeah.
In the locker room. But in meetings, they're going to get laid into. In practice, they're going to get laid into. Right. These guys are going to come out pissed because they got laid into for what they did on Sunday. Right? I would hate to be the guy that has to line up in front of number 98, number 96, number 58, number 49 on Sunday. Like if I'm the Chargers offensive line, I'm hating life right now because I know what those guys are going to bring. Right? I know what Azeez Al-Shaair, who's now who's voted a captain. I know what he's going to bring. Right? He brought it on Sunday. But I do want to, and maybe I don't know if you already had this written down, Max, or not. But who was your surprise? And outside of the obvious, who was your biggest surprise? And outside of the obvious, who was your biggest disappointment?
My biggest surprise for me was Arden Key. I have to say, I expected something out of Key, but I sure didn't expect all that. Although he did kind of fade off, the whole defense, the rush kind of faded in the second half. But
they were chipping him after he beat Penning twice. They started bringing the tight end over to help out.
It was pretty funny though to watch. I mean, it was amazing to watch as a fan of pass rush, just watch him get back there over and over and over. I mean, he was in the backfield. Him and Autry and Tiertart were in the backfield more than the quarterback. It was ridiculous. I mean, they were just eating all day, and I loved it. Arden Key has to be my biggest surprise. My biggest disappointment, and a lot of people aren't really gonna know. I have to say, my biggest disappointment was Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah,
unfortunate.
that's all I'm saying. That's why I say outside of the obvious.
Outside the obvious. Okay, outside the obvious. I hate to say it, but my biggest disappointment was Tajay Spears. I expected. What? Yeah, I know, man. He did okay.
It wasn't his fault.
I know it's his first rookie season. I know he did. It's not his fault. He didn't catch that ball. He should have, and he should have got a touchdown. And then I'd be talking about how awesome Tajay Spears did. But unfortunately, we're sitting here where Ryan Tannehill threw him a duck, and
I actually think he was impressive. I was actually impressed with him. 9 yards to carry, right? For every, and then here's the thing, right? There was a play where Ryan Tannehill would have been dead to rights. And little 5'9", 5'10",
Blew him
200
up.
and blew this defensive lineman. Laid one in his chest. That to me showed, like, even if, let's say, Derrick Henry, let's say this is the last time we see Derrick Henry in the Titans uniforms this year, I'm okay with number 32 being here if that is what I'm getting, right? If I'm getting 9 yards of pop plus the pass, plus the threat in the passing game and pass protection, I'm okay with that. And that was the big question for me with him coming out of Tulane was, can he pass protect? Is he a guy with the size that can pass protect? But outside of that, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. My biggest surprise was the starting offensive line. I thought that we were going to thoroughly struggle. Like, I thought this was going to be they're going to control the line of scrimmage. The Saints are going to push our guys back. We're not going to get anywhere. It's going to be tough sledding. They looked good. Like I said, best graded guard tandem in the NFL. Take that for what it's worth. All right. Tackles, take it for what it's worth.
I was going to say, our interior, I agree with you 100%. Our interior looked great.
Andre Dillard didn't look bad, but again, he struggles with power. That's the knock on him. It's always been a knock on him. He struggles with power rushes. But Chris Hubbard looked okay. Dillard gave the quarterback enough time, right? Like I said, 2.6 seconds, which was top 10 in the league in time in the pocket. Great. But then my biggest disappointment, unfortunately, was our secondary. A group that I was high on. I was high on this group coming into the season. I saw them in mandatory mini camps. I saw them in training camp, and they looked good. They looked like they could. I mean, outside of when not Derrick Henry, but DeAndre Hopkins was out there, which he makes everything look great, right? And then he makes defenses look minuscule. But our defense looked like they could not. You couldn't get anything going. They were going to be one of the stingiest units, which they still, regardless, they only gave up 16 points. Yeah, right. So, but they looked like they were going to be there, and they were stingy. They only gave up 16 points, but I just felt like Chris Olave, Mike Thomas. I was like, right, those guys are good, but our corners are solid, right? Our safeties are solid. We can stop. And it just looked like we could not get off the field. Even in third and long situations, they just converted. So hopefully that changes because they got another test coming up. Like I said, with the Chargers, where you're going to get Mike Williams, you're going to get Keenan Allen, you're going to get Quentin Johnston and Palmer and all of these guys. So it's going to be a situation where they have so much room to improve at this point in time, right? Like if this is the bottom, then there were some good things at the bottom. Right?
Oh yeah, if this is the floor, then we're all right. But if this is average, then we're not going to do very well.
But like I said, worst case scenario, Marvin Harrison Jr.
Nah, let's not do that. All right, that's not happening.
Yeah, as a media member, I know that is so pessimistic. But again, right? If number 18 is a possibility, I'll take it.
Well, yeah, if he's there, but he ain't gonna be there, man. All right, so anyway, my theme of the game is missed opportunities.
Oh yeah.
Which brings me to my last point. Mike Vrabel. I love Mike Vrabel. Everybody knows that. I'm a huge Mike Vrabel supporter. I very rarely say anything negative about Mike Vrabel. However, tonight is going to be one of those times. Because even my wife, who was casually watching the game as she was scrolling her social media, because, you know, my wife can only watch so much freaking football before she gets irritated in this. You know, I mean, she knows I'm passionate, so she shares in my passion, but other than that, you know, she's not an avid football watcher. Anyway, on that fourth down call, when we got the penalty, my wife heard me say, Well, that would give us 5 yards, which would make it 4th and 4 instead of 4th and 9. And she immediately said, "Go for it." And I was like, "That's what I say." And then we started pulling a kicker out. And I got really upset because for me, you can make the argument of, yes, okay, kick the field goal, then you hold them, get the ball back. All you got to do is kick another field goal, would get within field goal range, and you win the game. Okay? Makes sense. Makes total sense to me. On the flip side of that, though, if you're going to trust that same defense to stop them, why would you not go for the score? I mean, I guess I understand the offense was terrible, but
right, it was.
I just don't. And that, for me, was a missed opportunity of a score. There was a missed opportunity. It wasn't our fault when the refs called the wrong play. That was another missed opportunity for us to score.
Yeah.
There were 2 more missed opportunities for us to score that were blatantly obvious to everybody else. However, there were 2 more that I saw times that we had an opportunity to actually score a touchdown if Tannehill, like you said, wouldn't have been staring down his receiver, man. He was killing me with that crap. I was even showing my wife. I was like, watch this replay. Look at his eyes. As the moment he hikes the ball, he's looking at the receiver. He literally never, and then he turns his head. I mean, it's sick, dude. I mean, like it was making my stomach churn while I was watching it. And I'll say this. I'm sorry. I'm blasting through crap here, but I'm going to kind of lead into my fan question for the night. I had one. It was really good. I decided to use it. It's from Joey Moss on Facebook. He asked me, does Titan Nation need to give up on Tannehill, or do we keep supporting and believing he will get better? All right, so that's a loaded question because, first of all, Tannehill getting better better than what he played yesterday. Yeah, okay, that's not unbelievable because, like I said, I feel like a lot of that is just rust. He needs to knock the rust off. He needs to get his head in the game. But also, to your point, he looks scared. And, just a Titan fan is one of the guys that normally is on, mixing it up on here with us. But he asked me earlier this offseason what it would take for Tannehill to be taken out as a starter. And I almost laughed at the notion of it. I even said it would take 7 to 8 weeks of terrible play, him throwing like 3 interceptions and doing awful crap before we would actually go away from Ryan Tannehill. But the reality of the situation, and I believe totally that that's exactly how Vrabel would handle it. He would go 7 or 8 games with him playing just like he did last week before he would switch to Malik Willis or Will Levis.
Well, he did it with Marcus Mariota. He gave Marcus every chance in the world. And then after that game against the Broncos, it was like.
Well, not only that, we have to also look at our other examples, such as Dennis Daly, Dylan Radins, these guys that just cannot get on the field or cannot get off the field, no matter how good or terrible they play.
I think those are more or less like we didn't have anybody. Like it was like they're the best we have, and so what do you want me to do? Right, my hands are tied. Whereas in this situation, it's like we traded up in the second round for a guy that we really like. And then we also drafted a guy in the 4th round that we really like. So, Ryan, if by the bye week we're like 3-5 or 3-4, and just to say for not I hate saying this, the Jaguars are running away with it.
Yes.
I could see number 8 and number 7
coming out
and saying hey, this week it's Malik, next week it's Will. We'll see who we'll go with the hot hand until next year in offseason that we have.
And then we'll go into a quarterback comp. Yeah, that's exactly right, man. I feel kind of bad for Tannehill, to be honest. But I honestly didn't realize he was that old. Till somebody pointed it out to me.
I think
Just
he's
a couple.
35.
Yeah, I was gonna say just a month ago or so, somebody made me realize how old he was, and I was like, "Holy crap, he's not that much younger than me. How is he doing that?"
But Max, think about this, right? So Ryan Tannehill, and this is kind of as a praise to him, but also
Knock.
Right. Ryan Tannehill in 2012, right, from 2010 to 2009 to 2000, I want to say 11. No, sorry, to 2010 was a wide receiver in Tennessee. So wide receiver. He's running routes. And then they made him a quarterback. He had one good year, right? Miami drafts him, 4,000-yard passer, beats out Matt Moore, right? Gets to start the job. Right on, right? And then
no blocking.
He goes there, he's no blocking. It was all these excuses, right? Divine Business is best receiver, blah. He's athletic, but he's unpolished. He has all of these knocks. Then he comes to Tennessee. We trade a 6th-round draft pick for him. He's our backup. And we're like, we might have the best backup in the league, right? And then Marcus Mariota does what he does against the Broncos. Ryan Tannehill comes in, and then he says, hold my beer, AFC Championship. Right? And it was like, oh, okay. If this is what we're going to get, give me some more of that. I'll take some more of that. Right? Comes back the next year, has an MVP caliber season.
Does it again.
MVP caliber season. Leads the league in passer rating, takes care of the ball. Looks amazing. Then the next 2 years, it's like bad and worse. And so this is year 11 for him. And this is not a knock to just a Titans fan who asked the question, right? But let's just be realistic. How often do you see a 35-year-old, 36-year-old quarterback in year 11 get better? Right? This is not Tom Brady. This is not prayers up for Aaron Rodgers, right? This is not, name another legendary quarterback that played, a long time, right? Peyton Manning. Right? These guys don't get, this guy is not, and that's not a knock to Ryan Tannehill. It's just the fact that, like you said, like Michael said, right?
Yep.
Took a step back athletically, which is a part of his game, right? And then on top of that, this is his worst game. Like, to put this in perspective, this is his worst game since his rookie season. And this game was worse than that game. His lowest QBR, his passer rating was his lowest in his rookie year. That was 32.2 or something crazy. He posted a 28 passer rating and then a 10.3 QBR. The only person in week 1 that had a lower QBR and passer rating than Ryan Tannehill was Daniel Jones.
Yeah, and he got destroyed.
He didn't score a point. Ryan Tannehill, managed, right, five drives, right, for field goals. The difference is between those two guys is one team played a defense that is probably arguably going to be the best defense in the league, if not number 2. The Titans played the Saints. Like, it's, you see what I'm saying? Like, and that's no knock against the Saints. It's just, this is to put it in perspective. Ryan Tannehill is, I said this, remember I said this, guys, and Max, you can attest to this. I said this 2 weeks ago. We've reached our ceiling with number 17 and number 6. There's a such thing as reaching your ceiling with a player. If AFC Championship game is the ceiling, great. But you have to take in totality. Oh yeah, does he get pulled? No. And I'm gonna tell you why. You have to look at who your head coach is. Mike Vrabel is not a guy who's going to say, 1 bad game, I'm going to pull him. 2 bad games, I'm going to pull him. This is not that situation. Right? This is not that situation. Mike Vrabel is not going to give up on a season that he feels like, because first of all, he's too prideful. Second of all, like I said, he trusts his coaching ability and he trusts his game plan. Right? He knows that he's going to be able to win games by out coaching the other team. Simple as that. He's going to win games just in spite of his quarterback play. And we saw it last year. We won 7 games last year in spite of horrible quarterback. or subpar. I should say subpar, not horrible.
Yeah.
Subpar quarterback. He was 7-3 with subpar quarterback play and an offensive line that was ranked as the worst in the league. One set was 7-3, and it wasn't until injuries to that starting quarterback where we had, collapse. So, and so here's the thing. I think he trusts his offensive coordinator, but we were also, I think, like SpiderTitan said, I think we were trying to match what the Saints were doing, for lack of better analysis on that. But again,
I think we were trying to give Spears his
some shot, his
hometown show or whatever, and I think that went on a little bit too much. Long. Yeah,
but with Tannehill though, man, this is it. You guys don't have to worry about Mike Vrabel pulling him in week 2, week 3, unless it's something crazy like 6 interceptions and fumbles, and it's just like completely.
He can't get it right. Yeah,
he would have to literally butt fumble off of every offensive line to get pulled. Right? It would have to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. If you've been a Titans fan, I don't know how long everyone in the chat has been a Titans fan or watched Titans football. The Chargers are the game. Like, those are the games we win. The games that we're not supposed to. The games that everyone's going to count us out. Right? The games that we're supposed to win are the ones that are winnable. The ones that if we don't make the mistakes, we win those games, i.e. week 1. Right? So it's one of those situations, but again, our bye week is week 8. Ryan Tannehill has 7 games, 6 games now to right the ship. If by week 7, if in week 7, this team isn't at least 500 heading into the bye week, you can see number 17 sat and because we don't owe him any money after this year. Yep. Ryan Tannehill is off the books after this year. They don't owe him. They're not obligated to him. And this regime, if you know football front office in the NFL, they are not. If they didn't draft you, if they didn't trade for you, there's no ties there. And I can tell you right now, Rand Carthon might not say it, but I'll say it for him. He knew that the writing was on the wall for Ryan Tannehill. He knew. That's why he traded up in the second round to go get a guy named Will Levis. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. He traded up in the draft because he knew number 17 has limited days. I am okay with going 6-10, 7 or 6-11, 7-10, 8-9 for the next 3 seasons if Will Levis is if I can see improvement in Will Levis. And I'm gonna give you, if you wanted to see proof of that, go look at what he did when he was the pro scout, the head of pro scouting, and what that front office in San Francisco did. Right, 6-10, had injuries, all that good stuff. Right, and they simply just came back and went to the playoffs, and then went to the Super Bowl, and then went to the playoffs again, and they've been to 3 straight NFC Championship games. As a fan base, I'm a media member and a fan, but as a fan base, be okay with the ugly process, because if you come out of this sterling, we're going to be, oh man, look at what they did, man. Because for a while, the San Francisco 49ers were being laughed at. Kyle Shanahan's job was on the line. They were calling for his head. And now it's Kyle Shanahan's one of the best coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, and it's just because they put an amazing team around him to play with.
Right. I'm like, Mike Vrabel went to the AFC Championship game with a team that people were saying was the worst number 1 seed in NFL history. Let that sink in for you.
Yep.
Mike Vrabel said this is like Mike Vrabel went to the AFC Championship game. He beat Tom Brady. He beat Lamar Jackson in the MVP and lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion and was up in that game with a defense that wasn't nearly as good as the one he has now, right? And off the back of I think a second year AJ Brown and a Corey Davis that was on his way out. Like this is the guy that you have as your head coach. That's the guy you have as your head coach. Ride with that guy as your head coach. Love that guy being your head coach. Okay, like I'm okay with that if that means we're gonna be a winning team as the years go on. If we have 3 more losing seasons after 2023, get there, you think Vrabel is here to be to take the yes. Because here's the thing, Mike Vrabel hasn't done anything. History hasn't shown me that Mike Vrabel's a bad coach, right? You have to look at his track record.
Yeah.
You have to look at his track record, right? I think we were 9-7 and missed the playoffs one year.
Yeah, the only losing season we've ever had was last year.
We were 9-7 and missed the playoffs. Then you go 9-7 again, make it to the AFC Championship game when you were long shots to do that. Then you come back the very next year. I think we were 10-7, right? Then you come back the next year, you're 13-4, 13-3, right? And you're the number 1 seed. Like Mike Vrabel over the last 6 or 7 years has been, and he's been coaching. He has a coach of the year on his mantle. You don't see those guys get walked out of the door unless it just gets ugly, right? Yeah. Like unless it's just like complete collapse of a team. But as long as Mike Vrabel can stay relatively competitive, when I say relatively, like relative to the roster he has, if Will Levis is your starter, I can guarantee you, Ryan Carthon and Amy Adams are not saying you should be winning a Super Bowl or you should be competing for a Super Bowl. They're not. They understand the process. Amy Adams has been around the game before she was born, right? He's been around the game. That's a joke. Take that for what it is, right? Right? She's been around the game since before she was born, right? Rand Carthon understands the business inside and out. He's been a player. He's been in front office. He's a front office guy now. He's been in scouting departments all over the league. He understands the business in and out. He understands what it takes to put a winning team together. But I will say this too: trust their process. I said this on Mike. Shout out to Mike Patton and touring the AFC South. I said this on his show. Go look at the undrafted free agents. Go look at the guys that we drafted. All of them made the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of our draft picks made the roster. That's the first time in 4 years that each draft pick has made the roster. 5 guys that were undrafted free agents made the active 53. Another 2 or 3, I think another 4 guys made the practice squad. In all, we had like 14 players that were rookies make this roster. Does that sound like a team or a front office or a coach that's going anywhere anytime soon? You think they're giving that up? No, we finally, for the first time in a long time, have a staff that develops talent. So,
yeah, like I said, they're playing chess, not checkers.
Right.
I love that phrase.
You don't win now, right? Like you don't do what the coach did for 3 years, right? You don't go and get over the hump aging quarterbacks and say, hey, take this roster that has a bunch of holes in it and go win us games. And then get mad when you have to draft a guy in the top 4, right? You don't do what the Texans did and let your whole roster collapse before you start making additions, right? You do what the Patriots do every single year, which is, hey, I got these 4 or 5 guys that are core guys, right? I got my coaching staff that I can interchange and kind of, piece together. But I know when it comes together, it's going to come together the right way. Minus last year where they had a DC calling plays, but so like when you look at that, you put those things together, and then you start to see what a team can be. The Titans are now building that. We've literally been outside of last year, even to last year, where people said this team's going to be bad. This team doesn't have receivers. This team's going to be bad. You traded AJ Brown, right? You're going to be horrible. Blah blah blah. We were 7-3. If it wasn't for injuries, we'd probably win 12 to 13 games last year. Think about that for a second. If it wasn't for injuries, and then here's the thing: if we had a quarterback that could close games out, we possibly could still even have gone 14. Like we could have won 14-3 last year. We were up in 6 of those games with a possibility to win. Our defense was hurt. Our quarterback was hurt and tried to play. It's all of that is a recipe for disaster. But again, Ryan Tannehill has a short leash. Next year, you're going to get a true quarterback competition. Mike Vrabel is your coach. He's going to be your coach. Amy Adams loves him. He's not going anywhere. Rand Carthon loves him. He's not going anywhere. Be okay with being okay for a while, right? We had 4 or 5 years where we were one of the best teams in the AFC, one of the best teams in the NFL. Be okay with being okay. Greatness comes with time.
On the devil's advocate side of that, I'm going to say don't let good stand in the way of great. But I digress. I'm not saying that we should move on or anything stupid like that. I'm totally agree with you. I think Vrabel's the coach for a long time. I do want to wrap up, but before I do want to leave you with the guys with a message. Guess it was on my show not too long ago, cohort of yours, Paul Kuharsky, one of the most, I'm not going to say harsh critics of the Titans, but I will say that if anybody is going to say that the Titans are not doing what they're supposed to be doing or not doing a good job, he's going to let them know before anybody else is. Okay? And Paul Kuharsky's quote was, calm the F down, people. I mean, he didn't actually say that, but that was his message. Calm down.
I can actually give it to you 1 second.
And if Paul Kuharsky is telling everybody to chill out, that means everybody needs to just chill. Because, dude, I'm telling you, if anybody's going to give the Titans a hard time or not let them get a pass, it's going to be Kuharsky. That's why I follow him so hard, is because he is that side for me.
So his two tweets were, Ryan Tannehill was awful yesterday.
Yes.
But the element of the fan base that is now acting like he's never been good for the Titans, like he throws 3 picks weekly, needs to slow down and look back. Maybe it's ending, but still. That was his first tweet. His second tweet, positive PK stopped by and reminded me, Titans looked horrible in 2021 opener versus Cardinals at home, losing 38-13. Went on a tough trip to Seattle and went 33-30 to get to 1. All I'm saying is everything that I just said for the last 5 minutes, for my little 5 minutes soliloquy, right? Not Ryan Tannehill, Paul Kuharsky summed up in 2 tweets with less than 240 characters. Like that is literally the precipice of what the Tennessee Titans is, right? Ryan Tannehill is not going to be this bad every week. He might scratch the surface of it, but he's not going to be that bad every week, okay? Right? But then at the same time, this is the Tennessee Titans. You're a well-coached football team. They're going to go out and they're going to win games. They're going to be competitive. They're going to push teams to the point. This is not going to be a team that you go out there and you're going to say, hey, you see what the Saints did to them? We're going to do that and we're going to do worse. Like, no. Like, it's hey, we know we got to bring our lunch pails, right? We got to strap our cleats on. We got to tie them tight. And we got to make sure that our chin straps are strapped to the brim, because if not, they're going to come knock our shit loose, for lack of better terms. Right?
Yep.
Like that is what you have in Tennessee. We've always been a tough football team, even in the bad years. We were a tough football team. Number 98, Jeffrey Simmons. After that game, he said, I'm not disappointed, I'm motivated. Does that sound like a guy who's defeated to you?
No, so, that's why I love Sam right there, man.
If I trust anybody, I trust number 98. If I trust anybody, I trust number 31, right? Like, I trust the guys that were like, yeah, it hurts. We'll go back and watch tape, right? Like, these are their words, not mine. I trust those guys because they've been here. They've done that. They were there when we were down and we were horrible, right? They've been there when we were in the AFC Championship game and beating Tom Brady, right? Like, they've been there, right? So trust the process. Trust Mike Vrabel. It's fine, guys. We stunk it up in week 1. I'd rather us have done it in week 1 when you can correct the mistakes than doing it in the wild card or the divisional round of the playoffs.
Yeah, amen to that, brother. And like I said, we always lose the first game of the season. So hitting the panic button for me was never an option. It was always going to be this way. You look at last year, we shouldn't have lost that game. It was a 1-point game, too. I mean, it came down to come on, man. It's the same crap.
Hey, Max. Hilarious. So, Tic Tac Titans on Twitter says, if the Jets want a veteran quarterback,
oh my God.
I mean, it can't be any worse than Zach Wilson, right? So
look, man, I said it. Everybody kept telling me how good the Jets were going to be and how flying their offense was going to be, and I was like, who's calling those plays? Because the pass coordinator, and then I brought up the fact that the offensive line coach came from us too, and they were like, oh my God. Are they serious? And I was like, but I digress. I'm sorry. Not making fun of somebody getting injured.
No,
I'm actually just poking fun at the fact that people, got so hyped for something.
I mean, I was hyped. I had them winning that division, but I mean, you can't help it when Aaron Rodgers' Achilles explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so that's going to wrap up the first episode for Titans Global Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just in case some of these people don't watch my show on the regular, go ahead and let them know where they can find you at, Courtlandt.
You can find me at DC Griffin on Twitter and also on Instagram. Also, check out 3pointconversion.com where you can find my week 1 recap. So if you haven't checked it out, right, if you want to follow a media member that is also interactive with fans and the regulars, you can follow me, right? I post articles every week. Also, I do draft analysis and other things as well. So be on the lookout for that. And then I'm anywhere the Titans are, right? And then I'm also in the comment section of here, or I'm on the camera. So if you check out Titans Global, formerly the name that we shall not mention, but if you check me out, if you check this show out, you'll see me in the comments, or you'll catch me on camera.
Absolutely, man. We always love having you, and we appreciate you coming on and filling in for us tonight. Being our guest.
Am I filling in? I might as well be.
I was gonna say, man, you in my eyes, you are a co-host, but I don't want to say that, and then people get used to you, and then they'd be like, "Where's Courtlandt?
Hey, where's that guy?" Like,
yeah, be like, man, he just liked being on the show, and I just kept saying, yeah, heck yeah, you can be on my show. But anyway, just in case you guys don't know, you should know, but in case you don't, man, you can follow me anywhere, Maximus Titan Fan. It's Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, any of those places, and you can find me at Titans Global Podcast, which is completely independent now. It is me and Tyler and anybody, like Courtlandt comes in and stuff like that. But, basically this is an independent thing now. So if you can show me some love, man, drop a like, subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, any of those follows, likes, shares, all that stuff helps, man. We appreciate it. We love you. Thank you for listening to us jabber all night about the Titans. And we'll be back for our pregame show, or I'll be back for our pregame show on Thursday night at 7 p.m. And we thank you for joining us tonight. Y'all have a good night. Peace out.